The other day, my son came home with this sweat-soaked, filthy football uniform. The smell about knocked me over. But for the first time, so did my gratitude. Let's be clear, I wasn't always grateful for laundry. In fact, the never-ending baskets and piles, I loathed it. But that's not the most embarrassing part. Sometimes, I would be in the laundry room and just overwhelmed and getting so frustrated with the piles and piles of laundry that I'd start yelling at Eve. Yes, that Eve from the Garden of Eden. I'd be going through the piles and I'd be like, Eve, you could have just denied not taking the fruit. We'd be all walking around naked and not know the difference. And therefore, no laundry ever. Seriously, girl, what were you thinking? Then, sometimes, I'd even give Adam a little piece of my mind too. Yeah. Put a little extra starch in the boys' boxers. Yeah, a little chafe for them. Then, one day, I was crying to my friend about all the frustrations of my busy life. And, I mean, it wasn't just the laundry that I'd let get to me. I'd get frustrated with everything in my busy life. I'd get annoyed at my car for leaking gas too often. I'd get frustrated with the lines at the grocery store. I'd get annoyed with my friends for not liking my posts enough. I mean, all it takes, clicking the little emoji, geez. Then, I was talking to my friend, and I was just crying to her about everything in my life. And I put on quite the performance, if I must say. She really should have given me an Academy Award. But instead, she gave me a tissue and some advice. She said, you have a great life. Not a perfect life, but a blessed life. The problem is your focus. You're focusing on the wrong things. So next time you want to complain about something, try finding something to be grateful for instead. Wow, what an idea. Either I try it, or I'm at high risk of getting 5150 and committed to a mental institution because I'm talking to biblical characters that existed thousands of years ago. So, after that, I got to practice often. In fact, the next day, I had a lunch with a client from work. And with my flustered, busy life, I left my wallet in my other purse. That made it so the client had to pay for our lunches. I was mortified, but instead of losing it, I chose gratitude. And I thought, thank God it was this client versus one of our biggest clients instead. And then I just kept realizing all the things that I had been missing out on life because I had taken them for granted or not even noticed them because I was just so consumed with anger and frustration. Yeah, I burned my tongue the other day, and instead of getting mad, I chose gratitude, and I was thankful to God that it will heal. Then I took it a step farther, And I thank God for taste buds. I mean, he didn't have to give them to us, but I'm sure glad he did. And then I just kept continuing to get really good at finding the good. I took this trip up north and I saw fireflies. I haven't seen them in forever, since I was a kid. It was like God looked up at the sky, and what could I add to end each day in a memorable way? Oh yes, insects with their butts that light up the night sky. Simple, yet extraordinary. And I realized all the things that I had been missing out on because I was focused on my busy life and complaining. But there was one test I continued to fail. The laundry. Oh, the dreaded laundry. Especially when my son would bring home that putrid uniform and drop it on the bathroom floor. I'd walk in the door, and that smell would get me like a back rub. Summertime in Florida is no joke. That smell would permeate the house like the most rank gym locker. Someone needs to bottle that smell and market it as an appetite suppressant. But then an event happened that changed my perspective on everything. My son, he would ride home from practice with his friend Zach. Big Zach, that's what they called him. This kid, Zach, was the sweetest, most gentle giant 6'4" kid you could ever meet. He was one of the most promising kids on the field. My son loved Zach. All the colleges were starting to swarm around him and see who would sign him first. But then, one day, my son came from practice, and he told me that Zach had collapsed from heat stroke, and they took him to the hospital. And I thought it was just precaution. Heat stroke is just when a player collapses from heat and exhaustion and needs rest and hydration, right? But 2 days later, they induced Zach into a coma. And the 2 days turned into weeks, and they couldn't stabilize his vital signs. They couldn't control his blood pressure, and his pulse was so erratic. And then the unthinkable happened. Zach didn't make it. He was this healthy, young, strapping boy 1 minute, and he's gone the next. There were no words. There still are. So the other day, I walked into the laundry room, and this wave of guilt washed over me. Who was I to complain about my So now, when I see that pile of laundry and all the tasks that my kids and my husband give to me, it's proof that my life is full of people I love and activities I enjoy. And I thank God for waking me up out of my self-induced pity party that God had gone on way too long. And so now, when I walk into that laundry room and I see that pile of laundry and that nasty uniform, and I think, wow, how richly and rightly I am blessed.